Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of Ace Unfiltered podcast. In the previous episode, I have shared my views and opinions on rationalism. So, when speaking about rationalism, one person comes to my mind, and we can't just ignore that person after speaking about rationalism, right? Yeah. In this episode, I'll be telling some stories, interesting stories about Periyar. Today, we are diving into a story of a man who changed the DNA of South Indian society, E.V. Ramasamy. Many people know him as Periyar, but he started his journey as E.V. Ramasamy in a wealthy merchant home in Erode, where he was born into an Orthodox family. To understand why he is loved, debated, and studied today, we have to look at the moments that broke his faith in the status quo and turned him into a tireless warrior for social justice. Periyar grew up asking questions. He asked why he should uh, do if somebody asks something to do to him, and he used to debate with people on superstitions. And I like to highlight an incident here. During his school days, he used to go to a shop where the shopkeeper uh, bel- the shopkeeper was a believer of fate, and the shopkeeper used to say everything happens for a reason. But Periyar was completely against it, and to prove that fate is not something that like everything is not to prove that shopkeeper that fate is not everything, and every actions that happens is uh, not the effect of fate. Periyar did something. Periyar kicked a supporting pole of a thatched roof of that shop, and that thatched roof hit the shopkeeper's head, and mm, the shopkeeper shouted very angrily at Periyar and asked him why he did that. But Periyar um, Periyar answered that it was happened because of fate, not because he kicked the roof. He kicked the pole, and it made the shopkeeper realize and wonder. What happens when a child's curiosity breaks the strict social rules of a 19th century household? At the age of 10, uh, Ramasamy was known for his mischief. His biggest offense in the eyes of his father was that he uh, played with children whose community is considered as untouchable, and he ate at their houses. His father was a very influential and wealthy merchant and considered Periyar's actions as uh, very shameful, and in order to stop Periyar from doing such actions, he uh, restrained him by putting iron cuffs and house arresting him. But that did not stop Periyar from uh, sp- speaking or playing with his friends, and Periyar continued what he did before. Even in that era, Periyar did opposed and showed the community and the people what is right and what's wrong by his actions. Many people go to the city of Kasi to find God. But Periyar went there and found the reasons to become an atheist. At the age of 25, after a fight with his father, Ramasamy left home and traveled to Kasi, living as a monk. He expected to see a place of peace and purity, but there was caste based segregation, and there only upper caste people were fed by the lodges there, and lower caste people had to fight for their every single meal. Even Periyar had to fight for his meals, and even he ate leftovers from trash, and that made him realize the social hierarchy. And after the after these horrible incidents, he understood the reality and became an atheist. In 1924, in a small town called Vaikom in Kerala, people were forbidden from even walking on the streets surrounding a temple. Lower caste people have to take long detours because if they walk in the street of the temple, it is considered like them walking in the street pollutes the street by those upper caste people, and it was very inconvenient for the people of that suppressed community, and they protested against it, and where because they protested they got arrested by the police, and so they needed help. They sent a telegram to Periyar, and Periyar immediately went there and gave um, energized very energized speeches, and um, motivated them to walk in the streets. He was arrested twice for his involvement in this protest, and he was sent to prisons where he was treated harshly and even forced to work with very dangerous criminals with uh, heavy leg chains and prison uniforms. Eventually, his wife Nagamai and his sister also joined the protest, leading to groups of women entering the forbidden streets. The movement grew so large that the government had to surrender. The streets were finally opened to everyone, regardless of caste. Because of his relentless leadership, Periyar was hailed by the scholar Tirivika as the hero of Vaikam. In 1928, Periyar organizes a wedding, but there was no fire, no priest, and no Sanskrit hymns that the couple couldn't even understand. He called this self respect marriage. The, a, the point was to prove that the union is a contract between two equal individuals, not a religious ritual overseen by a mediator. He tells the couple that to skip the expensive rituals and focus on companionship, education, and social service. Today we talk about disrupting industries, but Periyar was disrupting the oldest industry in India, the ritualistic exploitation of the family unit. He often gave speeches at these marriages, not about blessings but about education, women's rights, and logic. He told couples that Marriage is a partnership and of two equals, not a religious contract. This wasn't just a ceremony, it was a political act. By changing how people married, Periyar began changing people how they lived and thought about their own dignity. In school funded by public and government fund, children were being taught that the very thing education is supposed to destroy discrimination. At Cheran Gurukulam, Periyar sees that a certain community of students are being treated very well and a certain community students were treated very poorly. Uh, by from the activities such as um, students from upper community were served with high quality food and uh, they eat their food inside the school, and the lower caste community students had to eat the food outside, and they even had separate water containers for that lower caste community students. When Periyar heard this, he was outraged. He argued that a school is a place of enlightenment if it preaches such kind of activities, and it will poison the future. Periyar went to Germany on a 11-month journey at 1931, and he visited places uh, like Soviet Union, Germany, and England. There, he saw countries where science and logic were more important than ancient laws. He was especially impressed by the Soviet Union, where he saw society be trying to value a person's hard work instead of a family they were born into. He did not just sightsee, he wrote letters back to India. He told his followers that while the West was moving forward with technology, India was being held back by rituals that did not make sense in the modern world. When he finally came back to India, he looked different. He began wearing a black shirt as a way of showing that his people were in mourning for their lost dignity and to show he was ready for a tougher fight. Periyar knew to change the minds he needed a voice. So he started a magazine called Kudiyarasu, which means Republic. This magazine was started for speaking up for the people who were being ignored. In 1933, he wrote an editorial that made the government very angry. He was asked to apologize or go to jail. Uh, the people thought he would apologize instead of going to jail because they thought it is easy, but uh, he did not go to he did not apologize. He went to jail. He used to say that a person fighting for the truth finds more freedom in a jail ra- rather than a coward finds in a palace. The government tried to stop him by banning his editorials, but Periyar was clever. Every time they shut down, he started new magazines and kept printing and proving that they cannot kill the good idea. Long before most people were talking about women's right, Periyar was attacking the double standards of the society. He argued that treating a woman like they need to be protected was just a way to treat them like property. He said that as long as women are treated like jewelry, they would always be stuck as ornaments in a house rather than leaders in the world. He was one of the first in India to push for birth control. He did not see it as a medical thing, he saw it as a way for women to have power over their own bodies and their own future. He believed in he believed that you could measure how advanced a society was by simply looking at how much freedom its women had. We have looked at a man who started as a wealthy rebel in Erode and ended as a prophet of new era. From breaking fate as a boy to breaking the chains of the caste system as a leader, Periyar life was about one thing: dignity. Because of his work, millions of people in South India gained the right to education, the right to enter temples, and the right to stand tall with self respect. He did not just give orders, he gave people a new way to think. He taught them to ask why and to never accept an answer that insulted their humanity. He dreamed of a world where birth did not decide your worth and where women were truly free to lead their own lives. You might ask why a man from the 1900s matters to us today in a world of technology and data. It's because the system of bias he fought have not disappeared. They have just changed their form. Whether it's in our social lives or of our professional careers, we still need that Periyar spirit to question that status quo. As you go about your day, remember his words. Don't believe something just because it is old, or because it's in a book, or because a great man said it. Believe it only if it makes sense to your own logic. That is the story of the hero of Vaikom, the iconoclast, and the man who taught a nation to respect itself. Self respect is more important than life itself. That's it. And this is what I read from a book about Periyar by K Veeramani, and I narrated uh, by myself. So I don't know. I may have misled somewhere. So it's better if you go read that book by yourself. I did not tell the full story, and I uh, cut many parts and many words too, because it represented some communities, and uh, I don't want to mention that communities. So if you want to know more about him, it's better for you to learn and read more about him. That's it. Thank you for listening.